Hello, everybody. It's Jaffe. It's good to see you. Welcome to the Gavin and the Games. It is Friday night. I apologize for being on the show late, starting the stream late, but it couldn't be helped. I've told people I'm taking this new medicine, the Ozempic, and I've gone up a degree or a milli. I don't fucking know. I've added more. That's the way you do it. But in doing so, it kind of makes you a little tired for a few days. So today is just a drag, but I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to talk about video games. I'm excited to talk about the main topic of the day, which is I think there's this generation of gamers that are getting the shaft, and they're going to have to figure out what to do. We're going to talk about that. But yeah, I'm a little tired, so I apologize for that. I hope you're doing some well. Onyx says, Jaffe, bitch, put some timestamps. Here's what I'm doing, baby. I understand. I understand that you want timestamps. Hello, God Versus. He says, first ever live stream. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for hanging out with us. I understand you want timestamps. I really, really do. But my current thinking is, if I don't timestamp shit, then I'll be able to extract shit and make clips that people won't have seen. If I tell you this is exactly where everything is, but I don't know, maybe not. Maybe not. But yeah, Masochista says just fucking watch the show like a podcast. You goddamn right. But I hear you, man. I hear you, OniX. And it is something I think about. We will be kicking off the podcast in the next week, as well as the Patreon, I think, in the next week or two. So if anybody out there, people have been telling me a lot. Well, not a lot. I don't want to make it sound like it's a fucking cavalcade of nonsense. But, people have been telling me, hey, Jaffe, I want to support the show, but I'm not a big fan of the YouTube. Can you do a Patreon? So we'll be doing that too. Brett Moore says you look like a Pikachu with a beard. I debated buying this yellow sweatshirt. I picked it up. Thank you for being a member for the Cult Clips over 22 months, sir. I debated it because I thought I would look like a big fucking banana. If you can't see me and you're just listening to the show, I'm wearing a super bright, brand new, just came out of the pack almost, yellow thing. And it does make me look like a piece of banana Laffy Taffy, but I don't mind. Okay. So, but yeah, it's going to be a low key show tonight. So I hope you guys don't mind that too much. Maybe it'll get crazy. I don't fucking know. But I'm just saying right now, I'm just super chill. I'm super kind of tired, but it's good when you're in that world where you're a little bit tired. A lot of weird shit can happen. A lot of strange, odd things can happen. So we'll see where it goes. Frank Blasey says your shirt makes me want to slow down. Okay, well, are you fucking the wife, sir? Is that what's happening? Maybe you should hang a shirt. I'll sell these in the merch store. You can, put it up there when you're having the sexy time with a wife and go the speed she wants. It fits with the cap, says God versus the yellow. Yeah, it's like a little bumblebee. Speaking of the merch store. I look like Rob Reiner, says dude. Merry Christmas to you as well, buddy. Do I have any way of accepting a DM? Yeah. I mean, just go over to my Twitter, tell me who you are and what you want, and I'll follow you. We can talk to each other that way. But thank you, Brett Moore. So, yeah, Rob Reiner I like. I like Rob Reiner. Rob Reiner and I'm going to get into games, I promise, fellas. Rob Reiner, if you don't know, is a movie director. He was an actor first. And then Little Ronnie Howard. Little Ronnie Howard was an actor on Happy Days and shit, Andy Griffith Show, and then he became a great director. Both those guys, but specifically Reiner, it's like those guys were I just, as a guy who's made hits and then stopped making hits, I've always found this fascinating, this kind of falling away from what the public wants, and what do you do once that happens to you? Do you pivot? Do you try to hang on to former glories? But I look at Rob Reiner. Let's just take Rob Reiner. The guy made just some fucking brilliant movies, right? I mean, Misery and A Few Good Men, The American President, When Harry Met Sally, on and on. There's like 7 other big fucking huge hit motion picture shows. And then suddenly he could not get arrested. His movies just started bombing. And similarly with Little Ronnie, Stand By Me, right, Ragnarok. But Little Ronnie Howard did the same goddamn thing. I just find that really interesting. It's like there was a moment they were dialed in, like, when you're I don't know if you're old enough to remember, like, using the radio dial, but you'd have to kind of find the frequency, and it's like they were just dialed in like a fucking, like, like a goddamn assassin sniper, just right directly into the heart of what society wanted. And then suddenly, poof, shit changes. Amazing. Plazookas, hey, there's Plazookas. Plazookas, you're in East Coast, I think. Thank you for becoming a member, buddy. It's good to have part of our community. I know you played... what did we play the other day? You won a gift card. We talked today. What the fuck game was that? I don't know. Some Christmas special thing. But it is what it is. And I appreciate you being here, Plazookas. Let me give you a little bit of love here. God damn it, Maverick. And a little bit of love here, sir.
Go suck a big fucking dick.
That's right. You know what? I got to tell you, we are going to get to games, I promise. But it's Friday night. Hello, JoJo D. Frank Blasey said, yes, we're going to a little, tangent. So if you're like, dude, get to the top, I will, I promise. Wasn't Frost Nixon, says Frank, Ron Howard. Yes, that was a good film that came later in his filmography. I'm not saying that they haven't made good motion pictures. I'm saying that they haven't sold the tickets is what I'm saying. Yeah, Frost Nixon was really interesting. Especially as a guy who I wasn't alive when Nixon was doing his shtick and having that interview. And I thought it was amazing. Brett Moore says, I heard the new Zack Snyder film sucks. I like it for what it is. I haven't finished it, but I definitely enjoyed it. A lot of people are, I don't know, they just like to complain a lot. It's fine. It's you know what? Here's what I'll tell you. And this is going to be relevant to the topic about the generation of gamers who I think we're going to lose, that are like 22 to 32. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But when I was a kid, of course, we had Star Wars. We had Empire. We had the classics, right? But we also had Krull. We also had Battle Beyond the Stars. We also had, Clash the Titans, right? We had these movies that were not classics, but we still made room for them in our hearts and imaginations. If you look at Snyder's new film, which is, Rebel Moon Part 1, it's fun. It's very visually evocative. It's clearly there's a great imagination at work. Last Starfighter, no dog, right. Is it the greatest movie ever? No, but it's almost like, I don't know, maybe we've just gotten really busy. I don't know, but it's just like everything has to be spit polished and perfect, whether you're talking about games or TV shows or movies, or nobody knows how to recognize a diamond in the rough. Nobody knows how to not even recognize, but enjoy it. I don't understand that. Blackjack says Rebel Moon has 0 characters you can relate to. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I moved on with my goddamn life, and I enjoyed the visuals were great. Like Sucker Punch visuals from Snyder is great, but it's a terrible movie. Hello, Captain Hook. How's Smee doing? You think I don't know that your entire ship is pretty much like the ship in Our Flag Means Death? You and Smee be knocking the boots every night. Nothing to be ashamed of. The thing that worries me is your obsession with children, Captain Hook. Good evening, Jaffe. He says, happy to hear you blabbering this fine evening. This was going to be, it's going to be a blabber show. It's low key and just chill, right? I don't have a lot of energy, but I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be talking with you guys, you so-and-sos. Okay, let's get to some news. Oh, I do want to tell you one thing real quick. Check the screen. There you go. I mentioned the link tree a lot, but I want to let you know there's some good stuff up there. Alex Plox, who opened our show and closes the show with his great music, there's a link up there to his good stuff. Day One Patch Kids, which is in the background. You've seen it at the beginning of the show. Great figure, or I wish they would make figures. That would be great. I would totally get some. But great video game, Garbage Pail Kids mashup. And then our brand new one, which we'll talk about a little bit later, Mavizzle 3 Daddy podcast, which I will be going on soon. The reason I think this is so cool, though, is it is so raw, and it is basically like I wrote in the description, a raunchy as fuck constellation. So if you listen to Colin Moriarty's Constellations, and I've been on that a bunch, it's any topic goes, right? This is kind of the same thing, but it's kind of like fucking R-rated anytime. It's raunchy and fun and it's good. It's good people. So anyway, and also if you're looking to consider a membership, or you want to be on the Instagram or the TikTok, of which I'm got a bunch of videos over there you may or may not have seen in the merch stores. All that's up over on the LinkedIn, which you can find down below in the about this video. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. Okay. Let's get to some video game topics, shall we? Because that is frankly why we are all here. Where'd my screen go? There it is. Hang on. I didn't know where it went. Did you see the other day? Now listen. Did you see the other day? Oh, did I get, hang on. Yeah, there we go. Did you see the other day that one of the designers of Gears of War at the Coalition, somebody, Gears of War tweeted out, "Happy Holidays, Gears." That was on the Christmas Eve. And then Benjamin Hughie, I don't know how to say his name, but he's on the Twitter, and he has, he's a level designer over at Coalition. He shipped Unreal Engine, Gears 4, 5, and Tactics. What the fuck is that? Was that an earthquake? I don't know. He tweeted after Gears of War tweeted "Happy Holidays, Gears." He tweeted this: "See you in 2024." Now, it's hard to understand if he means that in 2024 they're going to be announcing a new Gears, or they're going to be releasing a new Gears. But I am excited. I loved the first couple of Gears of War. I never really played 4. I played 5 and I enjoyed it quite a bit. I didn't love it as much as the first 2, but I'm excited to see where they go with this. I think this is a really good franchise. There's still a lot of good stuff that you can do. And so this is exciting. I mean, look, when it officially comes out from the horse's mouth, it's not like he deleted it. Right? This was approved by PR or whoever. And we'll get some Gears news, if nothing else. Somebody in the chat is saying, I think it's Dead Rift, is saying, I heard a rumor they're remaking the original trilogy. I hope not. I mean, I replayed 1 a couple of months ago when we had Cliff on the show. And you can find that video here where we kind of dive deep into the making, not just the making of the game, but the symbology of the game and the thematics of the game. But I'd love to see what they do moving forward. Why did I skip 3? I just got busy, I'd had my fill. I wanted to move on with my goddamn life. I'll play some feckin' Gears 6, says Awesome Tatum. Cliffy B is like, stop asking me. No, I would love to. I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure it's fun. I'm not opposed to it. I'd love a new Dude Bro Gears. I miss the Dude Bro games Xbox was known for, Wayne B. Well, I think they are going to, I think their ear, I'm just guessing, I don't know this, but I think their ear is to the train track of culture enough right now that they will be giving the fans a classic Gears. I don't think the complaints about 5, which I didn't think were valid, but I didn't love 5, in terms of people, oh, it's so woke. It's not woke. It's got a woman as the hero. If that's woke, what can I can't help you. But anyway, though, yeah, I don't think they're gonna. I think they're gonna go right back to the woke as fuck, or not woke as fuck, but the dude bro as fuck sensibilities, which I'm looking forward to. I think that sounds great. One of our members, Gravedigger 606, says, Jaffe, I just turned 32 and I'm quite the grumpy goose gamer. Please help. Oh, I'll help when we get to that topic. Hey, Bukaki, are you at the store? Are you available? You want to jump on the mic if you're around, Bukaki, the drive-by? Okay. Hey, look at this. We got Living Legend dropping a super chat. Why can't you guys be more like your brother, Living Legend? Thank you, buddy. He says, Jaffe, if you ever get into VR, I'm totally into VR. You need to play Vin VR. It is extremely underrated and is the closest we get to Crash Ratchet in VR. It should scratch the 3D VR platform itch until we get Astrobot. Where is that? Is that on Meta or is that on PSVR 2? Because I have no interest in getting a PSVR 2. But I will be picking up a Meta this week. I just have to go on Amazon and order it. And I keep having all these other things that the family's like, don't forget to order toothpaste for the hall closet. The hall closet doesn't need toothpaste. It doesn't brush its teeth. It doesn't have teeth. And even if it did, it's not a conscious entity. It's a hall closet. But that's where we put the toothpaste, right? So, but I'm going to be ordering it. But yeah, Living Legend, thank you so much for that, buddy. And let me know in the chat if it is on the Meta as well, because I've never heard of VinVR. I'm certainly interested in what is it, Asura's Wrath 2 or something? Is that what it's called? Meta smart glasses. Well, here's what's interesting. If you don't know what he's talking about, Sheriff says, Jaffe, you should get Meta smart glasses. So these are Living Legend says it's on both Meta as well. Okay, I'll check into it. So these are the glasses from Meta and Ray-Ban, the new ones that kind of, right? And there's a little camera here. They're really cool, actually, because they have voice AI built in, but that doesn't go live until start of next year. But right now what it is you're able to film what you see and stream it or record it. And I was so close. I'm like, oh, I'm going to get these. This will be great for the stream. But then I'm kind of like, I don't go anywhere. It's, maybe I could do something when I, drive out to the fucking store to pick shit up, but I usually have my groceries delivered. So there's not much I would do with it. But that said, though, I think they're very, very cool. And I think, I think Meta, I've said this before. I was talking to Colin Moriarty about this actually in one of his shows. I think Meta is kind of the new Apple, not in terms of their success, obviously, but just their stuff is interesting. It's like when Steve Jobs used to stand on stage, it was like, oh, I may not want all the shit he's talking about, but this is pretty fucking cool. And Apple's kind of become this very dull, safe company, although, their Vision Pro might flip the switch, but we'll see. But anyway, I like both of their new pieces of tech, the Meta 3 and the Ray-Bans, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, some of you guys are saying you're right in that age in the chat where you should be angry. You will be. I'll tell you all about it in a second. Benji Martinez just turned 33 a few days ago. Guess I'm out of the core. Yeah, well, I'll explain to you what that means. It's not even a joke. So, okay. But anyway, there we go. Gears of War could be coming to our consoles if you have an Xbox or Game Pass very, very soon. Okay. Check it out. God of War's Chris Judge won't voice young Kratos. You guys have seen this. I'm not even going to play the clip. You can go here. I'll put it in the chat if you want to go watch it. This is a link on NeoGaf to the YouTube thing. He was on somebody's podcast, and he was taking Q&A from the chat, and someone asked him, hey, did you ever talk to TC Carson, or did you ever, watch his performances and base on your performance on his? And he was like, no, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to have it be my own character that I was able to interpret, blah, blah, blah. But he gave much respect and kudos to TC Carson, who was the actor who played Kratos originally in like 1, 2, 3, and Ascension, I think were the ones. And then the phone call. I don't think he did. I don't think there was another one he did. But then he had this weird quote where he said, funnily enough, I got called recently about voicing young Kratos. Like, hey, we want you to do the voice of Kratos, but when he was younger. And that's, it could be a lot of things, not really, but it's probably the remake. The PSP games he voiced as well. It's probably the remake, right, that everybody is talking about. And I went back and I looked at Valhalla, the ending, and like, did the young Kratos ever speak in there? But I'm like, no, I don't think he did. So this is for something new. And if you've played Valhalla, you've seen how they have taken the new engine and new tech and applied it to some of the older things, and it's quite cool. And so the minute I saw that, I'm like, yeah, this would be amazing to get a remake with the new technology of the Greek trilogy. So, I'm excited, and this is, I wouldn't say it's clearly not confirmation, but it's the closest thing we've gotten publicly to a confirmation, which is exciting. I'm looking forward to it. Bukaki says he clarified that later. Nobody. This is him walking it back. Fuck it. I'll tell you exactly what he said. Here's what he said. I'll just play it for you. Let me scrub to it.
I never watched.
Okay, let me skip this.
Or did they ask for voice match him or anything? And nor did they ask for.
Right. So he's saying they didn't ask me to voice match
From the very
TC.
beginning, it was about making it my own, and TC is so extraordinary that my reverence for what he did wouldn't. Even if they had asked, I would have said no.
By the way, before we get to him saying the thing and Bukaki looking like a fool, oh, you can't hear what he's saying? Oh, yeah. Sorry, fellas. Let me turn him up. But right now he's going on and on and on about the reverence he has for TC Carson and blah, blah, blah. And you know what? Maybe that's true. I am more than willing to admit if it turns out that I'm just a grumpy cynic and I just think most people are full of shit, but they're not. But I think I'm right and I think they're wrong. When I hear somebody going on, like, you ever get tired of these fucking actors, especially actors or these people in behind the scenes documentaries and shit where they just gush and jizz all over the, I loved working with Paul Rubens, or I loved working with Ridley Scott. He's such a genius. Shut up. It just doesn't come across as true. Now, maybe these actors are just salt of the earth, wonderful, kind people. And Jaffe, you're just a cynic and you're an asshole. Maybe that's true. But I don't know, man. This guy is going on and on and on about, fuck. Anyway, here's where he says it.
I was actually offered something not too long ago, and I had to turn it down because they wanted me to somewhat match the voice of that character, and I said absolutely not.
Okay, so there's two things it could be. It could be, chances are he said it and he walked it back because he knows he shouldn't have said it, and Sony PR called him and said, dude, what the fuck? That's probable. That happens all the time. It is possible, if you just parse the language, what he said was that another game came that wasn't God of War. Hang on a sec. Hey, I'm still streaming. Let me call you right back. All right, bye. It's possible that it was like, we want to do a Conan game and we want you to do the voice, and we want you to do it just like you did Kratos, or just like the young Kratos. It's possible. It's possible, but it's probably not that. Bukaki sent me the tweet. Let's all take a look at the tweet together, and let's see the damage control that good Sir Chris Judge is doing. Because I think he just stepped in it, and I think this is sort of classic backtracking. Here we go. Just to clarify, no one at Sony Santa Monica asked me to voice match TC. The respect for that's not that you didn't even listen to the interview. That's not what the tweet was about. He made it very clear in that interview. You may have heard it. That when he was playing Kratos and first coming into Kratos, he said, no one asked me to voice match TC. He said that in the interview. He says it was another game that asked me to do a voice match, right? So we know from the interview that he wasn't asked to do a voice match from Corey and the guys making the new God of War. It was another game that asked him to do a voice match. So I don't know. I don't know. But I mean, look, here's the bigger takeaway from it. Whether they asked him or not, I think after playing God of War Ragnarok Valhalla, I think there's a lot of people who Not that you needed convincing, and I was always a fan of God of War Remake 2.5D, or not, it was 3D to begin with, but, you know, pretty much making it, but still keeping it the same game in terms of camera and all that. But playing through some of those levels in the 2018 kind of engine and whatnot, with that combat, that's pretty fucking cool. So I think whether this is a legit, you know, mistake on the part of Judge or not, I think it does speak to the fans' excitement about wanting to play those older games in that new engine. Absolutely. Why would he be voice matching young Kratos in the first place? Are they going to do a reboot of the old trilogy? Right. That's what, if you've played God of War Valhalla, you will see that it doesn't say they're going to do it, but it's pretty clear they could do it because they did some of it. All right. Anyway, there you go. We'll find out together. Pretty sure. Let me get some of these chats real quick. Moron86 says, stopping in to say I appreciate your content, Jaffe. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching, buddy, and being here as we talk about these good games and whatnot. Jesse Ray says, Jaffe, you're a commie dope. You goddamn right. But by God, I love Twisted Metal. Grim all the way here. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Okay, let's move on with our goddamn lives. Enough of this bullshit. Let's talk about, if there's a jump cut here, you're going to be like, what the hell, Jaffe? It's because I had to cut. I was showing some stuff that the last time I showed stuff from the Insomniac leak, it was, you know, they got all upset and shit, and they demonetized or struck the channel or whatever. Fine, whatever. So I'll cut that out. But ultimately, if you go over to NeoGAF, they leaked the video, or they didn't leak it, but they covered the leak of the video that was Insomniac's inclusivity training video, and all of their inclusivity activities in order to bring more people into the games with more of a diverse cast, right? And, you know, as per usual, you had a lot of people say what Eric Lennon is saying in the chat, forced diversity, woke BS, or Brett Moore saying Sweet Baby Inc., which is a company I don't think this is from Sweet Baby Inc., but you can hire them to sort of help you if you want to kind of bring your intellectual properties into a more diverse sense of presentation. Okay. So anyway, though, this is what I thought was interesting. There's a couple interesting takeaways from it, though. The first one was they interviewed this one woman, a Puerto Rican woman, I don't know if it's a man or woman. I can't tell the name. I think it's a man, Ian. They were asking, like, for example, what about turning Ariel and the Little Mermaid black, right? And here's what he says. He says, you know, it depends on the story. For example, and this is a guy from Puerto Rico. For example, with The Little Mermaid, from what I gather, it takes place in the Caribbean. So I think it makes sense that she would be black. Sometimes they'll change certain races of certain characters when they remake the movies just for the sake of inclusiveness. I don't like that, right? So it was kind of cool to see that at least the group, whoever they are, that Insomniac is working with, this may be their own internal group, they are aware of the fact that, you know, you can go to a place where certain people don't like it because it feels false. And so, you know, that's a level of nuance that a lot of people that shit on Sony and Insomniac and all the diversity stuff, they don't really ever give them those props. And I think it's cool that that's in here. But this is the other thing, though, that they talk about. They talk about, you know, the value of the diversity. It says most consumers appreciate when familiar characters get remade or updated, but only when it happens through a new lens. Like if there's a new perspective or a new take, why the character is that way, or the story gets told in a different way. But they also do go on to say that a lot of people love seeing diversity and inclusivity in their entertainment, especially if they are people who are not included usually in entertainment, certainly like video games, right? And this was what was interesting. NeoGaff, the first comment, and people still say it's not forced but implemented naturally. When you need to focus on, it is forced. And then this other guy says, now you understand why the diversity inclusivity stuff felt so incredibly forced in Spider-Man. It literally is. And this is disturbing to me because what it really is saying is, it shows such, and I'm serious, listen for a moment, let your guard down for a moment, take in what I'm saying. You don't have to agree with me, but listen without your knee-jerk response that you hate this shit for just for a moment. It's only forced, if you feel, and you may, I don't know why you would, that America or American entertainment has always been diverse. Everybody is reflected on screen for the most part. Yeah, there's some problems here and there, but it's gotten a lot better, and no one should feel like this needs to be happening. If you really feel that way, okay. But I think you can look at the stats and you can go, you know what? There haven't been a lot of diverse heroes and leading characters in mainstream tentpole entertainment. And it's not going to fix itself. It's not going to happen naturally because the people who are still in charge are not that diverse yet, and they may never be. But they are making entertainment for an audience. You'd think that the Republicans would be all over this because it's all about capitalism with those guys, which is fine. And it's just like, hey, look, there's an audience out there. Not always. Sometimes it crashes and burns, and sometimes you get the Black Panther, right? There's an audience out there that wants to see themselves and their stories reflected in these big movies. And, why would you deny that? The only reason it feels weird might be just because you're uncomfortable with it, because I don't know. It's like, what do you care if they're making these changes? If they're, as long as the story's good, the story's not going to matter one way or another unless they make it part of the story. RPG says, but those fucking movies don't work. Some of them do. Some of them do and some of them don't. And some of it is because maybe the diversity, which I don't believe, and more of it's because it might just be a bad story. But, it doesn't translate to money. It's a disproportionate overrepresentation, says Vitaphone. I know it's disproportionate. Probably, maybe. I don't know which diversity group we're talking about. But it needs an overcorrection. It needs to, it's been so bad for so long that it's like, okay, we may be stuck for 5 to 10 years oversteering the ship because we've been so stunned by how non-inclusive our art has been when it's entertainment, like mainstream entertainment, not personal art. That's do whatever you want. So it becomes problematic, says Vincent, when it is used solely for monetary gain. Everything that the movie business or the game business does is for monetary gain. Every decision that, when they put Tom Cruise in a movie who's as white bread American non-diverse as you can get, it's not because they just like Tom Cruise. It's because they know he can make them a lot of fucking money. It's not like there was this time where movies were made in some sort of, vacuum of it. It's amazing. I went and I saw, Terminator 2. Well, Terminator 2 is a little different because it's Cameron, but I went and saw, a fucking action movie. I went and saw Die Hard, and it was just like the perfect movie. It was the director, John McTiernan's vision, pure. No, it wasn't. It's probably focus tested within an inch of its life. They probably had to convince them that Bruce Willis was more than a TV star. On and on and on and on. That's always that. Problem is storytelling sucks too. That's different. That's absolutely different. I'm with you 100%. If the story's bad, fuck it. I'm not defending that. What I take issue with, says CR, is Hollywood never commits. Wesley Snipes was magnitudes blacker than any major black actor these days. He put loads of asses in seats. Explain that. He was in jail. They didn't explain what. They put, he was in a lot of movies. And then he ended up in jail for a while, and he kind of aged out of the kind of movies he was successful in. Bearskin Umbrella says, I'm an extreme minority working in tech. They wanted a copy of my tribal card so they could get a tax kickback. I mean, that's interesting and kind of offensive. Like, unless you go, like if it were me, I guess I would wonder, well, okay, I'll give you that, but what do I get in return? It ain't the job, because you fucking better have hired me because I'm good. But yeah, you guys want a tax break? You guys can have 50% of it and put the other 50% in my goddamn paycheck. But that's a weird thing that they would have asked for. Let me get some of these super chats and memberships. I sure do appreciate it, fellas. You guys are salt of the earth. Here, this goes out to you. I can't help but be racist. It's true. It is so fucking true. Listen to me now. Listen to me now and hear me good. This is coming from the Lord our God, Yahweh. Jaffe, says Living Legend, if the rumor comes true about the OG God of War trilogy remaster, do you wish they would go back to the OG isometric camera? I hope they do, says Living Legend. Thank you for that super chat, buddy. No, because I liked, because at that point, maybe they just go back and do a remaster. But if they do a remake, here's my fantasy. Okay, my fantasy would be, but again, I'm biased towards God of War, but especially the earlier ones. But my fantasy would be they do a remaster, and in that remaster, they load it with cool shit that we had to cut in the first 3 games. There were levels that were almost completed. There were levels, there was a boss that guarded Pandora's box that we had fully designed and about 30% created. We had to cut. That would be the remaster. But then the remake, I would love to see these guys do, break up each game 1 through 3 into 12 acts. I'm just pulling a number in my butthole, but series, anywhere from 5 to 12 acts. And then every month release an act on PlayStation Plus Premium for free. And then it waterfalls down, and eventually everybody gets it. And then eventually they put it on a big disc and sell it. And it would be a remake like you saw if you played Valhalla, where Kratos is revisiting some of those locations. And it's awesome. I would love to see that, but I would want both. If I had to choose, I would choose the remake over the remaster. Captain Hook, thank you, buddy, for joining the Diet Soda Soldier. Sir, this goes out to you.
Everybody hates you, and I'm glad your husband died.
He
probably killed himself.
I don't believe that, Captain Hook, but I love you, and I'm glad you're here, and please make peace with Peter Pan, sir. I love you. That Hook movie grows on you, doesn't it? I was on the set of Hook. I snuck onto the set at the Sony lot, saw Spielberg a couple of times. I already met him once before, but as a fan, he didn't remember me. And I sat there for the whole fucking day, and this was like one of the last big non-CG sets. They had built a goddamn pirate ship on the biggest soundstage on Sony Pictures. And then it was like Noah's Ark. There were fucking, I hung out with the animal wrangler. He's the one who said, just sit here, don't say anything, nobody will notice, you'll be fine. Filled with animals, hung out with the animal wrangler that day. It was so neat to see that set, man. What a golden age of or ending of golden age of Hollywood. It was past the golden age, but you know what I'm saying, where it was more practical. That was fucking cool. But thank you, Captain Hook, for the membership. I appreciate it, buddy. And then listen to this. We got my good friend K-Nubs.
Daddy, chill.
Listen, I like K-Nubs. It makes me moist in the nether. Come on.
That's a huge bitch.
K-Nubs, thank you, buddy, for joining the Diet Soda Soldiers. I very, very much appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Thank you for being part of our community. Nice to have you here. Clay says, Jaffe, look up Sweet Baby Inc. They diversify games. I understand what they do, and I understand that maybe they don't do it as well as they should. And I understand, of course, that the most important thing is good writing. But okay, let's just do this for a minute. Can we agree to this? And then we'll move on. Can we agree to this? Can we agree that a lot of movies today, whether they're filled with, diversity intentionally or not, they're not as good as they used to be because they're poorly written. They have too many fucking executives. They're too expensive. And so they can't take any real chances unless you happen to be Christopher Nolan. If we can agree to that, can't we also agree that at least some of the people complaining about forced diversity are racist son of a bitches, and they hide behind the smokescreen of, oh, it's the story. It affects the story. But what they really don't like is that they are seeing more and more people not reflective of their lives on the screen. I mean, can't we agree that at least it's both? And depending on the person, maybe it's 60% genuinely find something wrong with the story, but maybe 40% are just racist assholes. They may not even know it. I mean, come on. That's not too hard of a pill to swallow, is it? Come on now. Okay. I can agree with that, says Wayne. Clay says I don't know what that means, Clay. It's not a straw man, moron 86. I'm saying, can we agree that both are real? Because progressive liberal people like me will always knee-jerk to racist. That's why you're saying it. And maybe more conservative people like you guys, or some of you guys, will always knee-jerk to, I'm not racist, I just hurt the story. It's bad movie making, right? So can we agree that maybe we're both wrong some of the time? Fuck you, Bukaki. Okay. All right. It's mainly story, says Dr. Martin. Well, okay. All right. Let's move on. Let me see if there's any chats I need to get to. Yeah. Sweet Baby Inc. Look, you got Sweet Baby Inc. is not the bad guy. You know who the bad guy is? Would you like to see a picture of the bad guy? Ding dong, the goddamn witch is dead. Today was Big Bad Bobby Kotick's last day working in Activision. Now that is one of the bad guys, and I'm glad he's gone. But Sweet Baby's a company. If they don't do a good job, then no one will hire them. I mean, what do you don't have to pay Sweet Baby. It's not like the government comes walking along and says, you got to use Sweet Baby if you want to make a game in America. Come on now. That's bullshit. But if somebody wants to use Sweet Baby and they're happy with the outcome, then that's capitalism. Darth Nugget says, Michael Pachter said, Bobby Kotick's a great guy and you are a known liar, Jaffe. Let me tell you about Bobby Kotick. Michael Pachter said that he liked him. He was nice, but he's the most greedy person, or he's incredibly greedy. I think he was a great executive, but I think he was morally bankrupt when it came to China, in sort of acquiescing to a lot of demands that he should have put his foot down and said, yeah, no. End of the day, we're an American company, and we're making most of our money, or a lot of our money, off making video games that could very well be argued are a recruiting tool for the American military. So I don't think we will give in to your demands when it comes to Hearthstone tournaments, or when it comes to removing Tiananmen Square from advertising for Call of Duty. Not to mention he also presided over Activision when they were doing things like, letting the mostly men crawl around the cubes and fondle people and take pictures of women's vaginas and send them out, to the point that it made the woman, unfortunately, in things for herself, because people saw pictures at a holiday party of her vagina, not the least of which, of course, is also the fact that a bunch of other people within the company were acting this way, which he was the boss. The head rots from the fish down. That's wrong. You know what I'm saying. The fish rots from the head down, you fuck. And he also, threatened to kill somebody or hurt somebody, an assistant. And then he came back and said, well, I wasn't serious about it. Shut up. This guy goes away. Go away. But he was a great executive. I mean, I don't deny that. I absolutely don't deny that. He was fantastic at what he did. And, maybe he is a good guy and he's just fucked up in the head when it comes to his greed. Maybe the greed, like Pachter said, he's a good person. But fundamentally, that greed is so powerful of a call for this dude that maybe he just can't help it. So he does all this shit and, He's like, I can't believe I did that, but I need my money. I don't fucking know. How much money you need? Shut up, RPG. That's terrible. That's terrible. Okay. Listen to this now. This is pretty interesting. I don't know if you guys played this. There's an article over on Video Games Chronicle about multiverses. Remember this? Multiverses was a Warner Brothers Smash Bros. Brawlhalla kind of game that really went ape shit when it came to mixing characters, right? It was everything like you see on the screen. Batman and Shaggy and Steven Universe. They were about to put Wizard of Oz characters in it. There's a rumor Ted Lasso's going to be in it. I mean, just crazy combinations. It was very, very successful when it launched for a couple of months. And then they kind of struggled releasing new content. Like they just could not keep people interested because it took so long. And it reminds me of, it's not still functioning, Celtic Bat. What they said was they took it offline. What do they say? Day one, the second day it was out, it was at 153,000 concurrent users. But then they then they took it offline. It had dropped to almost nothing. Peak player count dropped more than 99% in 7 months. Apparently the season passes and the microtransactions that you had to pretty much commit to, if, you know, it's all the Warner Brothers crap that they're doing. Somebody's running Warner Brothers right now when it comes to the games division, and whoever is driving the monetary policies of the Warner Brothers games, I hope they realize, or somebody that he works for realizes, that they are digging their own grave, because fans are not happy. And this was a game that was really fucking good. Developers are probably not happy. If you're fucking Ed Boon, who makes one of the best, most successful fighting series in the world, and his game is getting knocked because these stupid fucking microtransactions from everything from costumes that are really expensive to fucking moves that you can buy, or this team, which I think is called Play First Games or something, who made a great right off the bat competitor for Smash Bros. And they're like, what the fuck, man? You know, it's like we did our job. You guys are fucking forcing us to do these crazy battle passes that go way too long and take way too much of a grind. And so they took it down and they said, we're coming back the beginning of 2024. And it sounds like their biggest problem was the cadence problem of new content. So they're like, we're going to focus on levels and modes and new characters. And it kind of reminds me of, you know, I was asking an executive at Sony about PlayStation All-Stars, Battle Royale, whatever it was called, which was basically Let's Make Smash Bros, but with PlayStation stuff. And, you know, I said, I don't understand, you know, it sold 1 million copies. I was surprised by that. Why are there no sequels? And they said, because it took them so long, the team, to make a character. Because correctly so, you know, when you're doing a game, on one hand, it was a game like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, where every character really has to be something to write home about, versus a character in Brawlhalla, which is like, it's the same character, but it's got this one little twist. All right, it works, right? A free-to-play service game needs to have a lot of characters and content that drops regularly. And I don't know if it's going to work unless they start being more, like they had them in categories to begin with. Like Superman was, I forget what it was, but Superman was this kind of fighter. Batman was this kind of fighter. Unless they pretty much find a way to make characters faster by diving into that categorization and then just tweaking it a little bit for a new character, new levels aren't going to make a difference. New modes might make a difference, but it's really new characters that I think people want. So, all right, more, I'm good to see you, buddy. But yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it coming back. I was never very good at it, but I enjoyed it for what it was. And then as people started peeling off, it became harder and harder to find games. But yeah, there have been some leaks that have talked about, and data scrapes Wicked Witch from The Wizard of Oz, Beetlejuice, Johnny Bravo, The Flintstones, Powerpuff Girls, Animaniacs, Daffy Duck, Scorpion from Mortal Kombat, and even Ted Lasso. I'd get back in just to fucking play Ted Lasso. Toby Moss says, Warner Brothers wants Suicide Squad to last for years, but everything they show gets hated on. They just, they're either going to be this kind of company that the core fans hate, but the world embraces. There's a lot of companies like that, and it's just, that may be what they're gunning for. But their properties are so aimed, like Suicide Squad is not aimed at Roblox players. And neither is Multiverses. If Multiverses wanted to be that mainstream, they would have dialed back sort of the technique required to do well in this game, and it would have been a little bit more of a button masher. But it does. So it's possible that they're going to totally hit the sweet spot, and it's gamers like us that'll be like, fuck this shit, but it'll still make a lot of money. But I don't know. I don't see good things. People did play Suicide Squad. I did get in, but I didn't have a chance to play it. Everybody who played it, people in the chat right now played it. They said it was really fun. They said it got repetitive, but it was fun, which is not surprising coming from the developer. But if it's repetitive, those fucking looter shooters or looter beaters or whatever the fuck this subgenre is, with Suicide Squad, repetition is the death of this shit. I have no interest in that shit. But we'll see. We'll see. Gameplay says Nugget felt tight for Suicide Squad Alpha. It's the story that sounds fucking horrible. I don't know. I don't mind the story that much. It's the Justice League go bad, and they bring in these bad guys that are willing to kill in order to stop the I don't know. It's kind of cool. Listen to this. K-Nubs comes in with the from the top rope. Come on, Jaffe. What are you talking about? You fucking idiot. He says, Jaffe, I just want you to know that you've provided consistent hours of background noise as entertainment. Sorry it took me so long to get with the cool kids. Oh, buddy, I appreciate it. And I love hearing that. I love knowing that this show is there for people when they're hanging out, when they're working, when they're driving. It makes me real happy. I love that. I love it. Just like I love hearing people say, Jaffe, I grew up playing the games you got to work on with the teams you got to work with. I love hearing people say, I listen to this show and, keeps me company, or it keeps me from falling asleep when I'm driving. I dig that shit. Sheriff says, Jaffe, thank you for your phone. Jaffe says, have you heard Blade is set for 2027? No, I haven't. Darth Nugget says, did you see the leaks for Suicide Squad? No, I did not. But what was sounded so bad about the leaks? There's no greater companion, says Fonzie on the phone when dropping a deuce, than Jaffe. You can put that back in your pocket. There you go. Yeah. Are you pooping right now, boys and girls? Are you pooping? All right, let's move forward. Let me make sure I'm not showing you anything that's going to get me struck. It's going to get me struck. Goodbye, Bobby Kotick. All right. I want to talk about these gamers real quick. First I got to show you this. The next thing up, we're gonna get into the generation of gamers that I'm gonna start calling the lost generation, because I think we're gonna lose them, a lot of them, from the medium, and most of them are in that age group of 22 to 32. I'll give you the whole skinny, but I don't care if you love VR. Frank Blasey says I'm currently pooping.
Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust.
Listen. You love VR, you hate VR, you love AR, you hate it. Doesn't matter. This is really cool. So Inverse got to try out. They've gotten to try out a couple of times. They got to try out again Apple Vision Pro, and that's their augmented reality, virtual reality mix thing. It costs like $3,500. It's insane. Reliving my memories in Apple Vision Pro almost brought me to tears. This is what's really interesting. It's not about the games. I'm not going to pitch you on how cool AR is. All of that's true. But what he's talking about is you can take, and I'm going to show you a picture. You can take video or still images, and you can run them through a process when you view them in Vision Pro, and they have depth like, so it says videos are saved as normal 2D videos in your camera roll. but you view them in Vision Pro and they have depth like any 3D video. So it says he was encouraged, who wrote this? I don't know who wrote this, but the author was encouraged to bring some personal photographs by Apple and videos that would have sentimental value, family, friends, pets. They say these things you tend to appreciate more in 3D than, say, quote, the burger you had for lunch 2 weeks ago. Okay, great. So he brings this video of him and his mom having dinner. And he says, there's no way for you to see the 3D in this image taken from spatial video. So just pretend there's a glowy white frame around the image and my mom is laughing as if she were right there in front of you. So the idea of being able to almost re-enter these memories in semi-surrounded visuals that are also 3D, and it's not a still image, it is full 3D, but it's your own family or your own memories. And you could, I know it sounds crazy, it sounds like something from a sad movie, but you could, your husband could be dead, but you had a video made of you and him eating dinner or something, and you could sit there, put your headset on, and it's like you're back with him, kind of like in the Sixth Sense. I don't want to spoil anything. That's cool, man. That's fucking cool. In fact, this guy goes so far as to say that he says, I suspect once people have the opportunity to see their own content in Vision Pro, they'll get a better sense of when and when not to take the videos. But he basically says that this might actually end up being the killer app. The minute you see this and have this experience of being able to, in quotes, go back in time, he says he's never seen anything like it. Donald Woody, right. I'd love to hang out with my dad again. Absolutely. I would too. Not your dad. That would be creepy because he was a strange man, but I appreciate you liked him. Living Legend, thank you for the super chat. He says, Jaffe, did you ever double, triple dipped on a game you love so much that you had to have it on other platforms? Mine is Velocity 2X, which is a hidden gem. It's not hidden from me, sir. Thank you for the super chat. Velocity 2X is actually made by the people who went on to make Power Wash Simulator. It is a great game. It kind of is it's an overhead shooter that allows you to warp forward and backwards in order to navigate a very complicated environment. And sometimes you can also dock and then it becomes a platformer. It's quite great. It's fucking quite great. I love it. But yeah, double dipping for games, not often. I'm sure I have, but it's not something I tend to do all that often, especially now with pretty much everything being backwards compatible. So, but thank you for that chat, buddy. Fonzie says the VR shit's useless to me. I have no happy memories to relive. Well, you could sell them. Imagine the pornography. Come on now, you could sell them. Next, you'll press a button to bring it to life with AI, says Toby Moss. Yeah, good. Jaffe. Oh, I'm sorry to yell, fellas. Says from Coal Miner's Daughter. Come on, that's a deep cut. Nobody knows that cut, what I'm talking about. But says, Jaffe, your show is the only live show I consistently look forward to, and I also think your older content is good too. Thank you for making the content free. You goddamn right, Your brother's name is Dew as well, so when your mom calls, she says, Doo. It's okay to be broken. Thank you, buddy. It's a nice compliment. I appreciate it. Okay. Listen to this. Morgan says, where's the RPGs? Where's the deep shooters, fighting games? You're not paying attention. That, what's the game that just dropped on Meta? It's like at a 94 Metacritic. It's Meta Quest. Look at this. We're going to get off VR. I don't want to talk VR today. But this game is sitting at a 93, and they say it is not only the best RPG ever made for VR, it's one of the best RPGs of the fucking year. Asura's Wrath 2, right? Yeah, no, that's one of the main reasons I'm buying it. And then Assassin's Creed Nexus apparently is a full-blown 30-hour open world Assassin's Creed, Asgard's Wrath, right? So I don't know if I would agree with you. I would agree with you, Morgan, back when this stuff first started coming out. RPG's talking about the Vision Pro, saying the videos are just playing the vid, or AI is making this interact with you. No, it's just the video. I mean, they could do that eventually, sure. But yeah. Okay. I Am Error says, I'd rather get herpes than play Suicide Squad. I mean, why not both? Okay. Show you the game? Well, geez, okay. Okay, I'll just show you what is it? Metacritic, what's it called? Asgard's Wrath. I know there's a possessive Wrath 2. All right, here's the Metacritic. 93. It's only got 12 reviews, but fuck you, 93. The most impressive showcase for any VR headset I've seen, and is a game I'm desperate to get back to even after the review. Packed full of secrets, layered with systems, and likely to get even better over time with new game events. It's a huge RPG worth exploring. This game is masterpiece, and blah, blah, blah. Let's go look it up. Go look it up. Okay, let's move forward, shall we? Am I getting the Vision Pro, Slow Loris? I mean, if they send me one, I'm not going to spend $3,500 on a fucking Vision Pro. I mean, I want one desperately, but I don't want to spend that kind of money, so I must not want it enough. Okay. I want to let you know we're about to talk about the generation of gamers that are the lost generations, but I do want to let you know briefly, and you can find him now on our link tree. Mavizzle is our newest sponsor with Three Daddy Podcast. Like I said at the top of the show, it is like a vulgar, raunchy version of Constellations, the Colin Moriarty show. So I'm not going to play it for you right now because we're running short on time.
A restaurant.
He's cutting together a little teaser for us so you can kind of get a sense of the essence of this thing. I will be on this show very, very soon. I'm looking forward to it. If you want to watch one of the shows or taste tested, go to the link tree, check him out. Check out Alex Plox and his great music. Check out, of course, Day One Patch Kids, who have been moving around in the back on the main screen. Let's see if you can see them. There's the old Day One Patch Kids back there. Okay. Let me take a sip of the bubbly. Isn't that me? I totally would be in that show. I'd fit right in. Okay, listen. We're going to start the conversation about the lost generation of gamers, what it means for the industry, what it means for Sony. I see in the chat, you goddamn clown is talking about Jaffe, is 2024 the year you dump your Xbox? No. The Xbox, I mean, we'll talk about that if there's time. If not, we'll do it on the weekend show. But if you look at the roadmap for PlayStation and you look at the roadmap for Xbox, I mean, why would I ever dump my Xbox? I even, if it wasn't for the beautiful, brilliant controller and their amazing first-party games, I would totally play Xbox more than PlayStation. So no, I don't think so. I don't think that's the year. I mean, if they shit the bed, sure, but so far I'm excited for what they're doing. Why didn't you dump it when the PlayStation had a crap ton of games? Why would I dump it? What am I going to... Why? I own it. I bought it. Why do I want to get rid of it? That doesn't make any sense. It's not... What do you... I mean, you guys act like you're going to get a knock at the door from the Gestapo, and if you have an Xbox, they're going to take you in or something. I don't understand why do you dump a piece of hardware that is still viable? It makes no sense to me. You guys are nuts. Okay. I want to show you this video. It's only a minute. It's gone viral. You've probably seen it. But this will kick off the conversation. And on one hand, I hate this kid, but I don't hate any kids. It's their parents' fault. I think he's a spoiled fucking brat. But that said, though, you got to blame the parents. But beyond that, there's something that sits above it, which is this conversation about generations. Let's give this a watch. You may have already seen it, but it's a telling video. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's serious. But regardless, though, and obviously he's on, Phil Spencer gave him a wad of cash outside the house before. But, okay, so let's keep going, though. I'll tie this all together with a nice little bow. I realized on Christmas Day, says Maximus over on NeoGAF, that the new generation of kids have a very different relationship with games. Okay, and this is absolutely true. And this is what I've been saying forever, not because I'm super wise, but because I have kids. And anybody out there who's watching that has small kids, they're not small anymore, but mine were small when this was all starting. And I saw the radical difference between my children and the generation that came right before, right? Which is, it was all about the Roblox and the Flash MMOs and Club Penguin and Pop Tropica, and then it went into Fortnite. It was even their friends that were more gamery kind of friends were on Steam. They were not looking for the console experience, right? And so I look at that kid, and this guy here, Maximus, is basically saying the same thing. He says, on Christmas Day, my nephew, who's in 7th grade basically, had been playing games on my brother's Xbox account, which he was probably playing Fortnite like my kid does, was given a PS5 unexpectedly. I saw the video of the unwrapping. It was packed in with Spider-Man 2. They seemed excited. When I arrived the next day, I gave him a $50 PlayStation voucher. What wonders will he buy when in the sale, I was thinking. Subsequently, I watched him use the card in part of another to buy $70 worth of V-Bucks, which is the currency in Fortnite, then take a Snapchat to show off to his friends how many he had. I couldn't even contemplate spending that much in one go on fleeting cosmetic items. When I asked why he wasn't going to buy any other games, he says, I play FIFA or EAFC, whatever, that's on the Xbox account and Fortnite. Why else would I buy? The younger brother then, during the older's downtime, played some Roblox touch football level. Even under the suggestion, there was no interest in even starting Spider-Man, right? So I bring this up because I was thinking about this, and I'm thinking about what it means for the industry, what it means for consoles specifically, and the kind of games that get greenlit. Let me give you some dates here, okay? If you are 22 to 32, okay, if you are younger than that, that means you came up being very satisfied by Fortnite, Roblox, Among Us, Club Penguin, what was the other big one that they were playing? Those sorts of, PC games with your friends like Phasmophobia, or Gary's Mod, all that shit, right? That, if you're under the age of 22, that's kind of what you know, if you know games at all. If you're over the age of 32, now this is obviously just rough math, you're in my world, which is you're old enough to remember the arcades, and you're old enough to remember playing on the NES and the SNES. Which means your introduction to games was not big budget. I mean, they were big budget for the time, but big budget cinematic. These are equivalent to watching a movie or a story. It was pixely shit and, low budget shit and intros to 3D on PlayStation. But even PS1 and PS2 were still games, right? But if you're 5 to 15 years old, stick with me here, and you, in 2006, which is when PS3 dropped, you're 5 to 15 years old, which would make you 22 to 32 today. You came of age playing video games in the Sony era of not PlayStation 1 and 2, but like the movie game, right? And those games, and you don't have the experience of playing a lot of the low budget shit that the kids today play because it's social and it's fun and they don't really care about bleeding graphics as much as most core gamers do. Or my generation that cares more about, they don't like the stories, but they've grown up playing Tempest or pure games like Street Fighter 2 in the arcade. They don't need everything to be a Last of Us Part 2 remastered, right? So you've got this group here, and that's why I'm saying the lost generation, because there's one of two options that's going to happen. There's three things that could happen with this. Like, I can't imagine, I'm sure they are, that people at Sony haven't sat down and had 50 meetings about what does the next 10 years look like as it relates to this topic. Because if you are coming up and you want to sell a console, and like Sean Layden said ages ago, there's only about 300, 250 million console gamers. That number doesn't usually get added to. It just changes what part of the pie they're in, depending on who's winning the console generation. But you've got all these kids who didn't even join that this time. They went with the PC. They went with the tablets. That's just sort of what they know. So that's a pie that certainly isn't growing, might be shrinking, the core console gamer. But then when you're making games for these people, the budgets we know are going up, and so there's going to be less of them. They're going to take longer to make. You only have to look at the Sony roadmap for 2024 to realize this shit's taking forever. And you also only have to look at the leaked numbers that just came out about budgets of, like, Days Gone. Is it 9 million units sold through? Not full price, but the fact that you can sell almost 10 million units of a game and it's not enough to merit a sequel, that's some crazy talk. So those games are going to get harder to make, more expensive to make. You're not going to see as many of them. So do you really bet the farm on a console much longer that's basically meant to just be bleeding edge? Or do you say every game maker just needs to be on the fucking PC and there are no consoles? I don't have an answer. I'm not proposing one thing or another. But the younger generation coming up is clearly satisfied with lower budgets. The older generation is clearly satisfied with a variety of budgets. It's this one group that doesn't have the education of the now or the old people like me, that all they know are console games from that era, unless they were hardcore Nintendo fans. Then, of course, they're okay. So and here's the thing. This kind of dovetail, and by the way, I brought this up just because I was curious what the top arcade games were at the time of when I'm saying this era. I mean, right before... in 1985, these were the biggest arcade games, 1984. So that's what I'm saying. We got used to this. We can go back to this. We do go back to this. But gamers today would say, fuck that, right? Core gamers today would say, fuck that. I'll get to the chat in a second. But what I want to show you, though, is there is just so much either hate or confusion, because it dovetails into this thing that I always see on the forums, which is people saying, where's the creativity? There's no creativity in games anymore, blah, 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 blah. And I kind of go, there's tons of creativity in games. And I'm like, maybe it's just on console, but it's actually not. I just think either they don't go out of their way to look for it, or they just aren't wired to care about anything that is not a $300 million banger. I mean, right now, like, is this the best game in the world? No, but it's fucking awesome. Evil West is out now, I believe, for PS Plus. It is a AA game through and through. It is creative. It is unique. It's a new IP. Nobody bought it. Nobody fucking played it, right? I want to show you something else. I did this earlier today because I was curious. If you go to PlayStation, and I'm just going to boot it up real quick and show you. If you go to PlayStation, then you can go to, hang on. Let me bring this up for you, you knuckleheads. I called you knuckleheads, you old knuckle. Shut up. All right, let me turn down the volume. So I was like, how hard is it to find these games, right? How hard is it to find the more interesting indie games on PlayStation? Are they really buried, and do they have any? I knew they had some because Shu's working on them, but check this shit out, though. This is really interesting. So if you go onto PlayStation and you go to what's hot, it's not even what's hot. It's New games. Okay, so here's the big ones, blah, 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 blah. Right. But then you start getting into stuff that ranges from $40 down. Like, I mean, no one's even talking about this. It's getting really good reviews. This is a AA game, Lord of the Rings Return to Mora. It's a survival building crafting game set in Lord of the Rings. I'm not saying I want to sell you this and you should play it. I'm saying this is something unique for console, right? Rogue Trader and whatever. Breachers is a game for $30. It's 5v5 multiplayer, kind of a Rainbow Six kind of thing. Apparently it's pretty good. Haven't played it. Look at this. Have a Nice Death. This is from from Gearbox Publishing, but it looks like a really good Metroidvania, Hollow Knight style game. There's tons of shit that's out there, and if you actually go past this and go to View All, not only did the Jurassic Park collection come out, but I don't remember those being very good games. But there's just a lot. Look at this one. I mean, again, now I could see people in this very chat going, "I don't want to play something like that." Fine. I don't give a fuck, but what I'm saying is if you are a younger gamer or an older gamer, you probably don't have a problem with it. Look at this fucking thing, Cookie Cutter. It's got really good reviews on Metacritic, and look at the art style. Look at the fucking art style. Hang on, not this. Wait till the game starts. It's about this girl with the fucking chains. I don't know what the fuck she's doing. Sea of Stars, another great one. Absolutely, Toby Moss. All right, check this out. I mean, right, I'm not saying, oh my God, you've never seen a game like this, but all the games that a lot of people are lamenting, like, remember when games were original or whatever and weren't just, $100 million things? They were just as original as this, right? But who's playing this? No one. No one's playing it. No one's fucking playing it. Got great reviews. So the reason I say I can help you is if you're one of those gamers, I know that you have some kind of resistance. I don't know why, but what I would say is just, dig around. What is it? Prison Life Simulator. Oh, it doesn't have good reviews. Seemed like it would be fun though. Dig around a little bit, even on your console. It doesn't have to just be PC, because a lot of times it's like, I get not everybody has a PC. They're expensive. And there's a lot of great shit on PC that you won't get on console, but there's a lot of stuff here that's not just crap, but it's genuinely good content. And people just, I don't know what it is. But there's my help to you. All right, let me get some of the chat and see what you guys are talking about. Vitaphone says most people don't want to watch a modern silent film. Many people have no interest in things perceived as low quality. Many people want novelty and fidelity as well as gameplay. No, that's not most people. Everybody wants novelty, and everybody wants entertainment. But Fortnite was never the best looking girl at the ball. Grand Theft Auto 3 was packed to the brim at the time with novelty and entertainment, but it was one of the ugliest games that was out at the time. And if all you have to do is look at Roblox or Among Us and go, there is a generation of gamer that's younger and older that doesn't agree with you. That doesn't, it was novel at the time. I know, I'm saying it was packed to the brim with novelty. But what I'm saying is if you are only looking for fidelity, high visuals, then you are not going to be served that much, that longer, that frequently. It's going to be a rare thing, because all you do is you play budget at the budget level. And that, again, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying that the business model doesn't support it, and it won't as we get more and more expensive. That's why even Insomniac in the leak is saying we'd rather make 3 $100 million games. Do we have to make a $300 million game? Let's make 3. Most of the audience won't care that we drop a little bit of visual fidelity. And they're right. They're absolutely right. And I'm just saying that get on board, because if you don't, you're not going to have a lot to play, which is fine. But again, that's why I call it the lost generation. I think that sweet spot of 22 to 32, they're conditioned to like a certain kind of game. And unless they either can grow and expose themselves to some of these other amazing games out there, or they're going to peel off and go play something else, which is fine. Or not play something else, but do something else, which is fine. Get a new hobby. Bukaki does say wrong. Bad graphics equals woke. That's true. That's true. Oh my God. Movie Maniac says Towerfall is awesome if anyone hasn't played it. Most fun I've had in couch since GoldenEye. Couch co. Oh my God. You're not wrong. And that's a game that launched on the Ouya. That is a great couch game. My kids and their friends and I played the shit out of that fucking game when it came out. K-Nub says, I'm 39. I'm tired of better graphics chasing by the people who have money to make something incredible. Mario 64 graphics and control, GTA 4 physics, and choices of Baldur's Gate that can be made. Right. There are other things that they can actually make the medium sing. That's why Nintendo consistently does well when their hardware is not fucking them over. Because they focus on what makes the medium special. Okay. Let me see. Let me get this. Mr. LHD6. Thank you, buddy, for that super chat. I appreciate it. He says, hey, sounds like kids want more gameplay focused games rather than story focused games that developers maybe want to make. It's a great, first off, thank you for the super chat. It's a great point because I think ultimately now maybe this is wishful thinking because when I play a game, it's the gameplay. I do like story much as, God damn it, I'm blanking on John's. What's John's last name? Who did Days Gone? John. God damn it, Garvin. Much as he'll tell you he thinks I hate story in video games, that's not true. I'm glad there are stories in video games, but gameplay is first. I can see much better stories for the most part in movies. That doesn't mean there aren't some games where the storytelling is better because it's interactive. There are. But certainly, Mr. LHD6, kids want more gameplay-focused games rather than story-focused games. I think you're right, and I think that the developers of the future that are really successful are going to be the ones that are good game designers or know how to find good game designers. I always cringed when I heard the Sony line of, our developers are storytellers. Fuck you. Fuck you. The developers may like telling stories, and the games may very well have great stories in them, but they are game makers first and foremost. This is not there are, unless you've got some game makers on payroll that are storytellers that have really mastered telling stories using the language of interactivity, which you don't. Very few people do. I'm not saying every now and then you don't get lucky with something, but very few people know how to do that consistently within a big budget game. I've never seen it done consistently. If you have, let me know because I want to play that game. But no, you don't have that. You have storytellers. No, you need game makers. You need fucking game makers first and foremost. I think it's ridiculous. But thank you for that super chat. Plazuka, thank you, buddy. He says, I see your Doctor Who phone booth in the background. Have you seen the new Doctor Who Christmas special with Tennant and Gatwa as the new Doctor? I have not. I had a total, really just fell in love with the show when Matt Smith came on for the first time because that's when I started watching it. So he was kind of like my first Doctor, and I loved it. I liked a little bit of Capaldi's stuff, and then I kind of fell off. I'm not going to get back there and open it, but if you remember the episode on Doctor Who where Peter Capaldi was trapped in the TARDIS, but he was growing, and he got so big it almost crushed him. One of the guys at Bartlett Jones got like a photocopy color of Capaldi, and if you actually open the door, it's like this massive face of Capaldi in there, like he's being crushed. But no, I haven't seen the new stuff yet. I just haven't had time. But thank you for that super chat. I really appreciate it. I'm looking for something here real quick. I'm sorry, fellas. Where did that go? Vitaphone, thank you for the super chat, buddy. He says, I'm fine with B-tier games, what for some reason are AA in the press now. RoboCop Delta was one of my faves of the year. Right. That's what I'm saying. And I'm fine with the big budget stuff. I don't dislike it. I just think that it's not. Think about this briefly for a moment. I don't want to belabor the point more than I already have, but think about this just for a moment. If you strip out the fat of anything, but let's just take entertainment, right? If you strip out the fat of a movie, You're left with plot and character. Many would argue, if they're a writer, that character is the only thing you're left with, but whatever. Let's just give me a break. I'm talking commercial fiction. Plot and character. The effects can go away. The movie can still be a massive hit. Same thing with books. With music, you don't have to have this wall of sound shit. You don't have to have this overproduced shit. There are musicians that can have massive hits with a guitar and a voice and a song that touches the heart or touches the anger or whatever they're singing about. The essence of each medium will always shine through and will always be the thing that matters most. Games have gotten it fucked up in that PS3 to PS5 generation. In my opinion, subjective, remember this, subjective, that the story and the desire to be movie makers, I don't fucking know, has taken over a group of people who make this shit. And the games are great. Like, let's just take Sony because they're at the vanguard of this stuff. I love most of their first party games. Love Ratchet. Love 2018's God of War. You know the one. Returnal doesn't go into that category. Love Tsushima. I'm not knocking the games or the gameplay, but I'm saying that you don't need all of that shit that's costing more and more to the point that it's no longer sustainable to rule the roost. And I just think the times are changing because of it. And I think it's exciting. I think it's really, really exciting. So CR says, don't you think that part of it is that all the massive leaps in gaming were already done before these kids even knew what a game was? I don't think all the massive leaps. That's the problem. The massive leaps in gaming are not done. They're only done by the people who are more focused on procedural animation that has 150 tween states or states that it can tween between in order to have animation that looks like real life that no one is noticing when they're running for their life, you know, when assassins are chasing them through a fucking hallway. But if that same effort and love and resource and passion, I mean, we don't even have a game design. Not that the Game Awards are any kind of arbiter of what it means to make a game anymore, but there's not even a game design award. They mix it with director. That's how little respected the medium is when it comes to essence, the medium. I'm not saying Toby says motion matching matters. It matters a little. It matters enough that it's not distracting. But it doesn't matter so much that it's worth hitting the budget so that you've never, like, if you're in the business and you get called over to your, you know, coworker's computer and he shows you or she shows you, great. It's impressive. And if you tell the press it's something to talk about, great. But your average gamer, who is who you are a slave to when you make this shit, is not paying attention to that if the game is good. And it's a waste of resources. Can a Bridge of Spirits? Yeah. I loved it at first, then I didn't because I thought the difficulty spike was terrible. But yeah, I hear you. Okay. These kids never got to experience playing Zelda on SNES, says CR, and then the next time they see Zelda, it's Ocarina of Time. I mean, they can just cannot comprehend how exciting it was. I mean, that was exciting, but, you know, frankly, the 2D Zelda games are better than the 3D Zelda games. But that's just my opinion. Okay. Wouldn't game direction count as game design? No, they're totally different things. They're totally different things. And that's what I'm saying. That's how little respect game design gets. And it's everything. Why do we care about games looking real when we've long been tired of seeing a lot of the real world, says Nubs. I mean, I think you want it to be real if you are ruling the roost. If it's real and you're the badass in the real world, that's a lot of fun, I think. But it doesn't have to be. In fact, Odell says, my nieces are 6 and 10 and they are into Roblox and Minecraft, but we're also introduced to traditional games with Nintendo. They are really not concerned with graphics. Right. 100%. Family Dog says Bama's in the playoffs. Who are they playing? I mean, my DNA is such that I'm wired to hate Alabama because I hate them. And I wish it was Auburn. But that said, though, who are they playing? But I mean, you know, it's It's not that hard to be a winning anything if you get on a winning streak and then everybody wants to be a winner, so the best people come and play there. It's almost like, what's the point? If you're Auburn at this point, what's the point? It's like, it's the talent of the teams and the people that come to the colleges. But anyway, well, it's a different show, but that's what I think. Vitaphone, thank you for the super chat, buddy. I appreciate it. Metal Gear Solid and RE, Resident Evil started it. Some would say being able to blend gameplay storytelling is the apex of the art form. Some think gameplay is the only thing that matters. I think blending gameplay and storytelling can be an apex of the art form. That's what people... I don't dislike that. I love that. And I love it, but I don't want to see it in a cutscene. But again, that's just my own preference. I feel games are more powerful when the narrative is something I experience as the player, not something I have to watch. But yes, I'm not saying the games are bad. I love a lot of those games. I'm just saying that the itch that I want to scratch when I play a video game is not that, because that itch gets scratched 95% of the time better in a movie or a TV show or a novel. What the game does really well is, still let me be part of a great story, but I don't need you to be filmmakers. I just don't. Most people don't. Living Legend says we will never see a legendary leap in tech like Dreamcast. Every new gen seems to be more diminishing returns. Well, I think you will, but I think it'll be something more like, augmented reality gaming, which I think could be really, really big. But yeah, I mean, I think AI is going to feel like a leap like that. I think, I know people get tired of hearing me talk about it, and that's fine. But all you have to do is go to ChatGPT and tell it to be a dungeon master and have it write a story around your choices. And remember, if you're old enough, that most of the games we used to play were text, like ChatGPT, and remember what they look like now, and you know exactly where we're going, is that will feel next gen, is that you will go into a game, whether you're on a flat screen or not, it won't matter. And your choices will be your own choices, and it will feel like you're living in the world and it's writing itself around you. That will be transformative and insanely addictive, I would say. Thank you for the super chat. Bukaki Drive-By. Thank you, buddy. 25 months, Diet Says Soldier. He says, games need to make me feel like I just jizzed at all times, or what's even the point? Well, I understand, but most of us use other things for the jizzing, and then we get to the games. But sure, I mean, I guess you could do both. Why not? Hell, I just put out a video on this very channel, Bukaki. You were part of it. The strangest place people ever played video games. One of them was about these three people who were getting pleasured in their nether regions by one person, but they would only pleasure the person who was winning at Mario Kart while they were getting pleasured. So, it's possible. It's possible. I'm not doing calls tonight. No. I think a good example of Bukaki says storytelling and gameplay is the OG God of War when you have to protect your family. It does the job narratively and you're playing the damn game, right? And again, I always give props to Corey. That was Corey's idea. I had never thought of it. I thought it was brilliant when I saw it. I still think it's not the best, but one of the top 5 best examples of it today. Abso-fucking-lutely, man. I agree. When AI is integrated fully into games, says Vita, it will be equal to, if not greater than, the leap of print TV media. Right. Absolutely. Yep. 100%. I agree. Okay. Let me see something real quick. What I want to tell you guys is, why can't I move the screen? Hang on. Okay. We will do that. I, of course, just want to say a couple of things real quick before we head off into the sunset. I want to express my gratitude for all the members of the stream. Thank you guys for letting me do this show another year. I'm looking forward to the next year. Like I said, we got a Patreon coming in a couple of weeks. We also have a podcast. I'll get you the details soon. I want to say, where did it go? There it is. Gods of War. Mavizzle, Cody Thompson, Lee Perez, Rotten Tanuki, Zach Procrastinates, Alex Plocks, and Eddie T-Bone Torres. Thank you guys very, very much for subscribing and being members of this channel and making it go. I appreciate it. I also appreciate the Diet Soda Soldiers and the Cult of Calypso members. You guys are awesome. Thank you for that. That has been the show for the evening. Hello, JoJo D. Goodbye, JoJo D. We will be back this weekend doing something, I don't know, and then we're back to the normal schedule after the holidays. Be safe if we don't talk before. Drive safe out there with all the drunk fucks. Don't drive drunk, blah, 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 blah. I appreciate it, fellas.
We're just normal men. Just
Goddamn
innocent
right.
men.
All right, guys, I will see you hopefully live soon. And thanks for hanging out with me, you guys. Bye, all.